It's time for our first call-in of the... Well, so we've talked to Colin a couple times, but our first call-in, pardon me, you do have to enunciate carefully when you're part of Desert Bus. We are thrilled to welcome back to Desert Bus. It's Teller, everybody. Hello! Hey! Hi, Teller.
With all that problem.
Oh,
Here's Teller.
there we go. Hi.
Hey! Good to see you guys.
Great to see you, too. It's been a while.
It has.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us again.
It's my pleasure. I think last year I was in the midst of trying to stay alive. Now I'm back.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, I was only vaguely aware of. You don't need to drill down on that. I was only vaguely aware of what you were dealing with. I'm glad that you're well again now.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just telling earlier in the because we started just an hour ago this year's run. This is our 17th.
Yes. That's
Okay.
It's so gratifying that such a stupid idea is so successful.
It really is. I don't know what I wouldn't have a career if doing stupid stuff didn't kind of pan out. So yeah, it's real great. But I was retelling, as I love to do, the story of how you even back at the very first Desert Bus, how you were so supportive and kind with despite the challenges of trying to convince people at our local Subway sandwich shop how to accept a credit card with a mononym on it from Vegas. I remember you phoning us at one time and we're going, I think they believe me. And the party platter showed up, so it worked out well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah. So obviously we're doing this.
Yeah.
I know that you've been up to a variety of things. You're in the 10th year of Fool Us right now, or you're going into that,
it's the
or
11th.
the 11th year.
It's the 11th because we did 2 seasons during one of the pandemic years.
Oh.
which is weird as all hell because we were many of the contestants were performing from overseas on a big screen. A few of them came in, masked and isolated and all that stuff. We were there in the Rio All Suites Hotel, which was completely shut down. So we were staying in these fancy, Julius Caesar type hotel suites with huge marble bathtubs, and then you get on the elevator and you'd come down, and the place was absolutely empty. It was like the hotel in The Shining. Nobody there. You walk through the spooky hotel, then you get screened, and then it was an amazing period of life, and sort of weirdly fun, right? Because it's a change of pace. I wouldn't want to do it again, but
Did they? I guess they just put you up in whatever the fanciest rooms that they had were, because it's like we can't rent these anyway.
yeah, no, there's nobody in the hotel. I mean, the hotel was empty, save for our production. So it was camping out, in an old Greek temple.
That's amazing.
Big zombie apocalypse vibes.
Yeah, that must have been. God, Vegas just in general must have been so eerie.
There were people who I did not do this, but I know some people who went down on the Vegas Strip and just were marveling at the fact that it was completely empty except for a couple of wobbly bicycles that people were riding up and down this utterly empty area. And now they're doing that big racing thing, which is driving everybody crazy.
That's amazing. Before we continue chatting, we're actually going to start you very kindly have a giveaway.
Yes.
That we're going to give away. I have the information here, but briefly, what is it?
I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah, please.
It's a lovely weekend for 2 at the Rio with our show thrown in. So two tickets to our show, 2 hotel nights, stay there, and if you pick up 2 more people, you're like out in the casino and you find a couple of additional attractive people that you want to bring along. We'll provide tickets for them too.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah.
If you see anybody across the bar and you like their vibe.
Yeah. Hey, we liked your vibe. Do you want to go see Penn and Teller? By the way, I've had the pleasure of seeing the show at the Rio, and it's a blast. And I want to go again because I know that it changes fairly regularly.
It is whatever. If you saw it more than a year ago,
Yeah.
I believe it will be entirely different, except for maybe one bit, maybe two. It's just because of Fool Us, we are writing new material all the time, and we get a charge out of writing material anyway. I mean, we just sort of spontaneously go in and write new material and work on it. So yeah, so it's all new all the time. I believe every other show in Vegas locks itself in and says, well, we have a good show, people like it, the audience changes constantly. We just keep writing new stuff. So when you come back, you'll always see something new.
That's terrific.
Yeah, I've seen them twice. Amazing both times.
So I want to talk about that actually in specific in just a moment, but first I want to actually start this giveaway.
Yes.
What's an amount that we should run this for? This is our first giveaway of the run this year, so for those watching at home, if you're unfamiliar with how this works, you want to go to desertbus.org, you want to sign up for a donor account. That part is really important to make it all work, and then you make a donation of an amount that we are about to say, and then you get entered to win. And multiple or donations of multiples of that number get you multiple chances to win.
I think it's our 17th year.
Yeah.
17 is too many dollars, but 7's an okay number of dollars. And 11 cents for the 11th season of Fool Us makes a nice round number.
That works well. $7.11.
Yeah.
Terrific. And we'll run that until what? I don't actually know what else is coming up because it's not technically my shift. Do we run this until the top of the hour?
Maybe 3:45.
3:45?
Yeah.
All right. That sounds great. I'm just going to make sure that people that need to know that.
Actually,
Perfect. Okay. What's that, Andrew?
I was just going to say, since it's our first giveaway, just remind folks, sign up for your donor account at desertbus.org.
Yep.
Any donations of $7.11 between now and 3:45, or any multiple thereof, will get you entries in to win this, quite frankly, incredible prize.
Yeah, this
Yes.
is
to
awesome.
kick things off. This is
Absolutely.
huge.
Yeah. So this is 2 tickets to Penn and Teller's show at the Rio and 2 nights in the hotel.
Yeah.
You got to get to Vegas yourself, but you can probably manage that.
Yeah. So we're allowed to go for these, right?
No.
No.
No, actually,
Also, one other note: if your PayPal email is different than your donor account email, make sure you add that as an additional email. Otherwise, the system won't work. Please, Greg.
Great. Cool.
all right.
So you were talking about changing up the show all the time, and I feel like that's got to be a big part of sort of what keeps it going, right? Is that you want to keep making new things. You want to keep exercising your brain, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I want to do for my life. I like to think of things that seem impossible and find ways to make them appear to be possible. It's always a lie. It's always a lie, and it's always an interesting intellectual challenge. Because that's a lot of people, I think, are accustomed to thinking of magic as something you hire a clown to do for your kids. It's honestly not at all a child's form. I mean, if you go to Spain right now, and you'll find that there are many small magic theaters that are there precisely for adults, not for kids, because kids can't appreciate magic. I mean, kids have a great deal of difficulty telling the difference between what's really happening and what's in their minds. That's part of being a kid. As you grow up, you get good at telling what's in your mind and what's out there. And what magic is about is bringing those two things into collision, where what's out here seems like something, and it can't be that, and your brain comes into collision with that, and it goes boom, and there's a spark. So what you see comes into collision with what you know. So that particular art form is of great interest to me. I mean, I'm sort of like one of those, the carpenter who uses his hammer as his analog for everything else in the world. And I just see magic as kind of the basic form behind all the arts. Because what a work of art must first do before it does anything else is astonish you, right? It must astonish you. If it doesn't astonish you, it's not going to be a work of art. All of the things about the content and the emotion and all of that stuff, that's all fine. But it doesn't really, in my mind, leap into the status of a work of art unless you at first go, oh my goodness, it's got to take your breath away. Then there can be some content too.
I love that. I love the sort of the approach of like, all right, I have an idea for a thing we want to do that should be impossible. How do we do that? And then just sort of tackling that just sounds like so much fun.
And sometimes it takes years. I think probably at least 10 or 12, maybe even 15 years ago, Penn and I were talking about saying, wouldn't it be great to do the needle in the haystack, to find a needle in a haystack? Wouldn't that be a good magic trick? But when you try to realize that on stage, when you try to say, what would that look like? Well, you don't want a big haystack with a tiny needle thrown into it that you don't recognize, that someone's going to go in and rummage around and come out and say, see, I've got the needle. So it was just last year that we got the idea for how to do that for the first time. And it started with something that came to me, which was, I thought, what if the haystack was way up high and we had somebody select a particular kind of needle? There's needles of all different kinds. There's sewing needles and carpet needles and surgery needles and the kinds of needles that you impale bugs on when you're displaying them. What if we had a whole range of those needles and had somebody select one of those needles, and we put the haystack way up high, and we had them climb up to the haystack, and what if we then had me hold a piece of thread like this and dump the haystack on my head and have the needle end up on the thread?
Oh.
And then our friend from Spain, Jandro, said, just to make that more visible in the theater, why don't you combine that with a card trick? So we have a person select a needle, select a playing card. They shuffle the playing card into the deck themselves. They climb up this ladder with their needle in there and their pack of playing cards. They throw the cards in, they throw the needle in, and then they come down. We dump all of that on my head, and now it is the needle threaded on the thread, the very self-same kind of needle threaded on the thread, with the very self-same playing card impaled on the needle. But wow. that kind of, it's just not easy to work out an idea like that.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah.
I love, because someone in our chat was mentioning this earlier, how much they appreciate the demystification of the art form that you both have done over the years. And I love that. It's very entertaining, right? When you do the things where you're like, all right, we're going to show you the trick, and then we're going to show you how we do the trick, and it's no less impressive, right? But I love that there are some things that you do that I don't know and I don't ever want to. It's just like, yeah, that's amazing. Good. I want to hold on to that.
But also, the chances are, if we're explaining how something is done, we're kind of lying about it too.
I picked up on that once or twice. Yeah.
And there's a good reason for that, which is that if you go to the ground level of how is a magic trick really done, a magic trick is always really done the way it has to be done. We're not. If we're floating something in the air with a piece of thread, for example, you know that you can't see the tendrils on a spider's web. You know that you have run into hairs. You've walked through pieces of thread that you didn't see. It's not as though you don't know that thread exists. The challenge for us becomes how to convince you that that's not how we're doing it. It might be dull as a piece of thread, but by the time we're done with it, you will have absolutely convinced yourself that we couldn't possibly be using a piece of thread. There was a trick I used to do in the show called the Red Ball, where Penn would come out at the beginning and he'd say, now here's a trick that's done with a piece of thread. And I did a whole long routine with a ball that was animated. It would jump, it was like a little pet dog.
I saw this one when I saw the Rio show. I saw this one.
Yeah, we don't do it currently, but I love it. I'd like to get back to it because it's such a. I'm so proud of how complicated it is. and as we were thinking about it, and it is really truly, it is done with one piece of thread. It's not in the position that you think it is. It's not in the position that you would even conceive it to be. It is sometimes intricately wrapped around other things, but we're telling you the truth about that, and that to me makes it more interesting. Because what I noticed is that it's based on the traditional thing where somebody has a ball, like a golden ball, and it floats around, and they pass a hoop around it. And honestly, everybody in the audience is saying, well, there's got to be a piece of thread there. So we said, why don't we just say, there's a piece of thread there, and then let's do all these maneuvers that say that it couldn't possibly be a piece of thread. You know?
Yeah, I love, because I've seen that particular piece, and it's just sort of like okay, knowing that there's a piece of thread, and I believe you, that doesn't help, right? That doesn't help me, right? It does not assist my understanding of how you've accomplished this in any way, except to potentially make it even more fantastical.
Well, what I noticed was that the people originally we didn't really have that theme clearly in mind, and then I realized that our magician friends who were working with me on it who were out in the audience, and they were watching, and I went up to them afterwards and I said, so what'd you think? They'd say, what the fuck are you doing? Where's the thread? Where's the thread? So by them knowing there was a thread, the trick became more powerful.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because they're just like, wait, hang on. How do you, but that doesn't,
Oh, man. Just the sheer balls of it. Just, oh, God, it's so good.
it's yeah, gosh, it's terrific. I love it.
No, y'all are my favorite magicians. Straight up.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you. You have provided an incredible amount of inspiration and joy in my life personally, and getting to do this, and just seeing you on the screen, and getting to interact with you in even a small way, and to see how generous even after your shows you were with your time is just you rule, man. Like you just rock.
Well, that's nice of you to say. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, please. Just loud.
Certainly. Taylor, I just did a production of Peter Pan Goes Wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd love to hear your experiences working with them on the Magic Goes Wrong show that you did.
They're geniuses. Mm-hmm. The Mischief Theater people are a breed apart. They are professionals in an art form that is long lost. Right. These are the true inheritors of the mantle of Buster Keaton. These are the people who understand physical comedy, which is very, very uncommon nowadays. I mean, you see almost no physical comedy nowadays, and these guys are just so. I mean, we sat at the Rio Hotel to write Magic Goes Wrong with them, and to watch a couple of them improvise a scene was just it was. One of the unforgettable experiences of my life, because you're just watching people who are truly funny, who understand their form to perfection, and they're not that old either. I mean, they shouldn't be able to do it at that kind of age.
Absolutely,
and happily, Mark Bentley, who's sort of in a certain way, sort of a mastermind behind the company. Mark Bentley is so. He's such gentle soul, so sort of invisible, but makes the company has been a huge success. Mm-hmm. So you get the most talented people in the world with this magnificent, intelligent management. I just can't. There is nothing wrong with those guys. Nothing that I could possibly say other than, oh boy, anytime they do anything, go see it.
Excellent. Oh, marvelous.
I want to relating to the stage actually, because Andy as well, you were just finished up doing Bard on the Beach and all that in the summer. And Teller, you only last year you staged with, hang on, checking my notes here,
Tempest.
With Aaron Posner, the Tempest.
Yeah, well, that's the 5th iteration of that production. That we started it in Las Vegas in a tent outside the big Performing Arts Center. It's the Tempest with magic essentially by me, music by Tom Waits and Kathleen Brennan,
Whoa.
and movement, particularly Caliban, by Palabolas. And what we did, the Tempest is, for those who don't know, the Tempest is the story of an Italian aristocrat who gets marooned on a desert island, and among the things that live on the island is a monster named Caliban, and Caliban is often seen as, the model for an enslaved native population, and just about every interpretation imaginable has been done for Caliban. And Aaron and I had worked with, I had worked with Palabolas, and Aaron and I went to the Palabolas is this wonderful art dance sort of institute, and in Connecticut. And we went out there and we said, what if we made Caliban is simultaneously a monster. I mean, he tries to rape the guy's daughter, and on the other hand, he's really like lyrical and sweet and sad. He's got two very different natures. So we thought, what if we made Caliban out of two people? We started off saying, what if we made Caliban out of 6? That didn't work, and then we went down to 5, 4, 3, 2. When we got to 2, suddenly 2 people, 2 muscular, interesting-looking guys, intertwined, functioning as one person, sometimes tumbling one over the other, constantly, never out of touch with another, like a pair of Siamese twins. I think we really truly solved the problem of Caliban.
Wow.
You know, it's very, very, very powerful.
That's amazing.
And we found some other, the Tempest is kind of a mess. It's got some beautiful ideas, but it's also kind of a mess, and it's got some terribly boring parts that were probably part of the original production, but the original production might have been one of those pieces of party entertainment at some palace. There's a section in it in which Prospero says he's the main character. He's the guy marooned on the island, and he also happens to be a magician, which is part of what interests me about the story. He's finally brought together his daughter and a young prince, and he wants to celebrate the fact that they're now betrothed. So he offers some vanity of his art, he says, some vanity of mine art. Only what Shakespeare's got in there is Shakespeare's got these like Greek goddesses coming in reciting couplets about the changing of the seasons. And it's excruciating. So instead we turned it into an elegant, simple magic show. And we have Prospero doing one trick, which is he levitates his daughter in a wedding gown to the wonderful Tom Waits song, Shiny Things. And it's heartbreaking and exquisite. It's really something, and it's really exactly right for that show. And we also, I can't talk about that show without mentioning that we lucked into Nate Dendy, an actor who is also a fine magician, and also kind of fine mime, but not mime in any bad sense. I realize you may not think that there is something other than a bad sense for a mime, but. And Nate is basically illustrates most of what he tells Prospero with playing cards. So he's doing card sleights to illustrate what's going on in the weather, what's going on in the ship, how people are drowning, and all of that sort of thing. And it's very, very good. I mean, he's a marvelous performer, and he has this wonderful. He's very, very thin, and you get the sense that he's just not really made of flesh. So yeah, and we've done that at in Vegas, we did it at South Coast Rep, we did it in Boston, we did it in Chicago, and then we did it in Maryland.
That's so cool.
You know,
Is there? I know
when
that
you get 5 productions, you start to be able to get good at something. You know.
Yeah.
Do anything enough. I know that you did a streamed version last year. There's a bunch of people in chat being like, how can I see this? Is it currently being staged? Did you just say that?
It is not currently being staged.
Okay.
There are those who are talking about another production of a bigger nature, but none of that is for real yet.
Okay. Well, watch the skies, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
It's really excellent. I mean, it's really there's I believe Shakespeare is an American. I mean, a lot of what Shakespeare thinks is so American. You know, he's so Shakespeare is so much pro women. You know, women are not subordinate little characters in his shows. Women are tough and interesting. He's anti-racism. He's sort of everything that America is right there, except maybe for voting. I think he still believes in kings and queens. There are times when I think we do too. But
I don't know. Kings and queens don't usually have a good fate in Shakespeare.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. He certainly doesn't think that being a king is any fun.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Does anybody else have? Yeah. Sorry, I thought.
No.
Sorry, I thought I saw something out the corner of my eye. The floor is open if anyone has any other questions for Taylor. Actually, while you're thinking, let me just remind folks watching that we have, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, 18 minutes left in this giveaway. It's very generous from Penn and Teller. It is tickets to their show at the Rio in Las Vegas and 2 nights hotel stay also at the Rio in Las Vegas. So get yourself to Vegas and as Taylor mentioned, you could probably sneak in a couple more folks to the show, not to the hotel, but to the show.
They have to be very attractive.
Yeah, this is key. Yeah. And you can get that for you can be entered to win that for a donation to Desert Bus of $7.11, or multiples thereof, which gets you multiple chances to win. So, yeah.
And actually, just to check with you, Teller, is this for a particular date, or is this sort of this is a standing offer when they're able to make it?
Yeah. Well, we arrange it according to their schedule.
Wonderful, thank you.
You know, anytime we're there, you can make use of it.
Okay.
Wonderful. That's so cool. Anybody have any other? What was the?
I had one.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you wouldn't mind, Teller, would you be able to tell us a little bit about some of the art behind you?
Yeah, Chad's been admiring the viewers have been admiring all
your collection there.
all the amazing things on your wall.
Those are all paintings by my parents.
Oh.
I was raised in a house in which art was a big deal because my parents had met in art school. They met at the Graphic Sketch Club in Philadelphia, which was a free art school. And
That's amazing.
this is a little, you'll see some trash, but I'm going to just tilt this over. And then that's a self-portrait of my father and a self-portrait of my mother that they did in art school.
Wow.
And then as time went by, they got a little crazier. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can show you this. There's so maybe a pointer. Yes, here we go. This picture up here. This picture up here is the picture that my father used to teach me that art cheats. And here's what maybe I'll do. It's probably better.
This is the best time.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
So that little picture there looks like he's raising his chest with his cape proudly on his back, right?
Yeah.
It's almost as though the picture's moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason. There's a trick built into that picture. The trick is that this back counter has one angle here and a different angle here.
And that's
So
intentional.
that as your eye moves from one side to the other of this picture, you register the vase in a slightly different position, subliminally. And that's what gives you that sense of raising his chest.
That's
Cool.
That's amazing.
I love that.
Isn't that something?
That's terrific. Jacob's having a tremendously good time with all this.
This is the coolest.
This is very cool. Well, thank you for taking that down
Yeah,
for us.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
And that's the I don't know. I have a lot of crap on my bed right now over here, but over there.
If we can, 1 second, if we can just adjust the shot that we're showing. There we go. Yeah, we can see it now.
Yep.
Yep, go ahead.
There's a painting of my room as a kid, and in that room is this bed, which is actually this bed that I still have here.
Huh.
Wow.
Whoa.
Amazing.
That's
I
so
tend
cool.
to hang on to things.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that's very, very cool.
thank you for sharing that.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Anything with the are those sakura trees back there?
The what?
The trees back there, are they cherry blossoms?
Those?
Yeah.
No, those are, that's a watercolor. That's a watercolor that I think my father did in Fairmount Park in Philadelphia.
That's lovely.
He was trying to just sort of explain to me how watercolors worked, and they're just so different from oils, where watercolors are about knowing how to let water flow, and oils are placing things in place. So the light color there in the blossoms of the trees is just the paper that the painting is made on. That's not a color going on there. It's the other color around it that creates that color.
This is so cool.
That's amazing.
Thank you for sharing all of that.
I'll show you. This is another.
Cool. This could be the whole day, man.
Yeah.
The night my parents moved into their first apartment on Spring Garden Street in Philadelphia.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
Oh.
There they are. They're sharing a glass of wine, and my father is. I'm trying to get this in the right place here.
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, my father is taking that picture, pressing a bulb with his right foot.
Yes.
Perfect.
Aw.
Anyone who's done photography here can appreciate that. The stuff you got to go through to get the shot.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so
if
cool.
if you look at some of my old photos that I'm in, I've got. You can't see both of my hands because one of them's holding the remote.
Yeah.
Sure.
I remember in our early days we had a lav mic that we'd clip to like our fly, so it was just out of frame to get like the closest audio that we could because we didn't have like a boom or anything.
Yeah.
Been there. It's the Sorry, I'm just reading chat. Who's just loving this? This is great. Thank you for sharing those paintings
all right,
with us.
good.
That was terrific.
Trying to think of anything else that might be here that would be worth. Let me show you this. This is just another one of my. I don't know. A number of years ago, I did a book called "When I'm Dead, All This Will Be Yours," and it was about my father's year that he spent trying to become a professional cartoonist and failing. But we have all the cartoons from that year, and let me just show you this one. It worked as a newspaper copy boy, and I wonder maybe if I turn this off, this will show up better.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's
I
really
love that picture. That's a guy taking dictation back at the newspaper. Someone is at a phone booth, like there's a fire at the other end,
Yeah.
and that guy has his headset, and he's there typing away frantically as the guy's dictating the story. And that's just just a lovely quick sketch, and the vibrance of that sketch really delights me.
The sense of urgency is
Yeah.
palpable.
Like a crayon sketch.
That's so cool.
What's in that shadow box?
Actually,
Sorry to just pick apart your background, but
Yeah,
That's a lot of magic props, and it's actually a gimmick shadow box, but I haven't practiced working with it. It's a shadow box that has the peculiar quality of being absolutely full, and then you can add two more boxes to it, and it's still full, but it doesn't expand. It's a clever trick. But
Very cool.
I've been practice doing it.
Well, actually, I have a question that I just saw go by in chat that sort of relates to, it does kind of relate to art in a way that, like, art that was sort of never necessarily released. Because, I was talking about this earlier. So we have, this was a fan-made thing, but we have this. We have Smoke and Mirrors, the thing where, where Desert Bus is from, that somehow started this whole thing. Why did this never get released?
I think it was entirely a business problem. I think there was something about some company being bought by some other company. That's the best of my recollection. I really others would know that sort of history better than I would.
What a shame.
Yeah, it was really clever. I mean, this was back in the days when we had just done Cruel Tricks for Dear Friends, the videotape.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever see that? It was this videotape that was based on an earlier idea that we had. This is back in the days when you would take for granted that what you saw on your television was being broadcast live, essentially.
Right.
And so we first conceived this idea, I think, in about 83 or 84. We were doing a television special for the public TV station in Los Angeles. And we came up with this idea that you could record, at that point, people who were just starting to have VCRs at home, they could record a broadcast. So we thought that if we broadcast a piece of fake footage, it could be used in a magic trick. You at home could record this piece of fake footage and then use it to torment your friends. And so the idea that we had was that we would teach the people at home to force a card, in this case the 3 of clubs. You would force a card for your friends on your friend, and then you would have the person put it back in the deck. You'd shuffle it, and you'd say, hold up the Queen of Hearts and say, is this your card? And they'd go, no. And you go, oh, let's do something else. Let's watch TV. You put that down, and you turn on the TV, secretly turning on your VCR, which is actually displaying a recording of something that we have given you. So it comes up, and on the screen it's like, it's a newscaster. Well, this newscaster, if you happen to know us well, is actually Penn in disguise. They say, it's a 15 alarm fire, and it's down at the 4th and Harmon Street. And then we've heard some serious traffic problems over here. And by the way, is this your car? And
Amazing.
we've had many people be delighted by this thing.
Awesome.
And that's Cruel Tricks for Dear Friends was a bunch of those things. We had one where we had created a piece of videotape that you would coordinate your movements with. So you could say to your friend, geez, I've got this great new screen cleaner. It really works very well on my TV. You might want to try it. And there's a movie playing on your TV, and you go, and it smears the movie.
So a lot, for those who are unaware, because of course Desert Bus is one of the mini games on this. Like the actual Smoke and Mirrors is a sort of a side-scrolling platform game that I believe is fairly traditional in its style. But of the mini games, apart from Desert Bus, which is its own, horrible thing, the mini games all have sort of ways to do that kind of thing. Where like I think it's Buzz Bombers. If you know what, like you like player one never loses. Basically, it's like, hey, play this cool game with me, and then you just dust your friends all the time. Similar, isn't Mofo the Psychic Gorilla similar to the Cruel Tricks and Your Friends, in that it sort of does like you force a card and then.
I believe so. And also Mofo the Psychic Gorilla at the time was a character in our live show. This was part of our preoccupation with the carnival, was for years and years we toured with a gorilla mask stretched over a guitar amp on top of a Jacob's ladder attached to what do you call them? Lava lamps. They attached to lava lamps, and this was we claimed that this was the head of a gorilla that had been severed during an expedition to Africa by Harvard medical team. They managed to keep the gorilla head alive, but the gorilla and to imbue it with the power of speech, but it retained its animal sixth sense, allowing it to read minds. Good afternoon and welcome to the show. I am Mofo, the psychic gorilla. You've seen me on national television and read about me in the Guinness Book of World Records. 10 years ago, I was a savage beast in the wilds of deepest, darkest Africa, and so forth. and Mofo will be returning to our show this year, after a hiatus of probably 15 years.
Wow.
We've never done Mofo on Fool Us. And Mofo might need, for political correctness' sake, to change his name.
Perhaps, yeah.
May I suggest Bofa?
He's, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'll tell you what. Yes, Andrew, what's up?
I just had a really brief question. You mentioned that the card that you'd force was the 3 of clubs.
Yes.
I feel like that's a common one. Is that one that magicians use often, or is that one that Penn and Teller use often? I feel
we use it all the time. We started off choosing it because it was photogenic.
Okay.
You know, on TV, you don't want a 10 or a jack or a queen or a king because that's just too many pips to try to see. You want something that's simple. And it was either clubs or spades, so we went with clubs. And once we had done it once, we thought, wouldn't it be funny if every time we forced a card, it would be a secret code with all of our fans that they would know it was a forced card if it was the 3 of clubs. And so now it sort of is. It's now a fan thing to know the 3 of clubs. In fact, if you
it's on your tombstone, isn't it?
Exactly. It's we bought a plot in Forest Lawn, Burbank, in Los Angeles, and we have a cenotaph there that is this bronze plaque that says Penn and Teller. Is this your card? And the 3 of clubs. And the idea is we in one of our books called How to Play in Traffic, we teach you to force the 3 of clubs when you're in Los Angeles. You force a 3 of clubs. You fail to find it, or you have them put it in an envelope and carry it with them.
Sure.
And later in the day, you say, "Oh, let's do some. After we get back from Disneyland, let's go to Forest Lawn, Burbank, and see the graves of Stan Laurel and famous comedians." And when you come to our grave, there it is. There is some video of there's a video of a kid who just gets hysterically scared, and it's wonderful. The kid goes and runs away.
Heck yeah.
The idea behind that is this. I sort of like the idea of the graves that have eternal flames on them. You know, and in ancient literature, there was a preoccupation with poetry being something that would be more long-lasting than human life. You know, Horace starts a poem, I have raised a monument more lasting than bronze. So I got to thinking, what if how could we continue to torture people with magic tricks after we're dead? This is my endeavor to survive, to have a piece of my performance, right? Physically, not electronically, but physically survive my death.
Amazing.
I love the way you think.
That's terrific.
There's a line in Samuel Beckett's Endgame that's no one that ever lived ever thought so crooked as we.
Well, in terms of electronic stuff, we continue to be delightfully tortured by Desert Bus and are thrilled to be doing so. Hey, thank you so much for joining us again, Teller. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I hope it's very successful. You guys do such. It's so wonderful what you do. I mean, it's just. I'm so. It makes me cry. It's so sweet and good and noble.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope I hope to see your show again soon. It's a pleasure to talk to you again and to have you back on the bus, as it were.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, we'll be drawing a winner for your giveaway momentarily. Thank you so much for that giveaway and for joining us. And everyone in chat says thank you for calling in as well. So, yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank
See you
you.
later.